What is PMP and project management? There are so many people that are chasing this certification, and you ought to know what it is, whether it's worth your time, and all the details. So in this video, I'm going to cover those in addition to some real truth that I think you're going to want to know. So if you're interested in that, please stay with us on this video. Let me tell you a couple stories because I could do this wrong. You're either going to think better of me after this or less, either way. I'll just tell you, I was on a streak for a while. I did the AGC BIM certification, so you had to go to, I think it was a 4-day certification. Anyway, I got to fly to Southern California, do a lot of studying, read an entire book, have a number of years with building information modeling, which I did, and take the test, which was pretty difficult, and got my certification. So CM-BIM. Then I got my CM Lean certification. This one was wild. You had 7 classes. These classes were at different times, anywhere between 2 to 6 hour classes, and then the test was absolutely insane. I'll just do a couple of them. I won't do all of them because I'm also AutoCAD certified, Revit certified. I've got lots of really cool certifications. But the third one I want to talk to you about is the DBIA. So to become a Design Build Institute of America certified professional, you have to have a certain amount of years of experience. I think you have to have at least 3 years of experience on design build CM at risk projects, and then another 2 with direct supervision. Anyway, super crazy. I got to fly to, this was like Northern California. It wasn't, I don't think it was Southern California at this time. But anyway, flew out to Cali again and spent 5 days, and the test was insane. I think I read at least 2 more design build books after that, like text. I still have the pictures in my phone where I was taking notes. I took the test, super hard test. So I'm knocking these certifications out. By the time I get to PMP, I probably had 8 or 9 heavy certifications. So I know how to take the test, learn the information, apply the information, and pass. Okay, so that's story number 1. Story number 2, twice I tried to sign up for PMP because I'm like, okay, what is this? Let's go ahead and dig into it. So the first time I signed up for it and I opened the PMBOK and I'm starting to read it. I get through to page 45 and I feel like a virus has infected my brain. This information is so convoluted, so complex, and so hard to understand that I'm just gonna pause. And then I meet somebody on the plane going to Southern California. Actually, I remember I was flying into Los Angeles and that person had just gotten their PMP. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it another chance. And she was like, okay, try this service. They'll help you through it. There's a summary of the PMBOK. You're gonna jam out. I spent $1,800. I go to start taking the coursework again. I open the book again and it's just so toxic. Have you ever seen the movie Men in Black? In that movie, even though we speak the English language, in the first Men in Black, you remember the main character, Kay, saying, on most planets, the English language is outlawed. It's considered to be an infectious disease. The information literally was like an infectious disease. And I was like, screw it, the $1,800 is gone. Now, in case you think, no, Jason, you're just dumb, consider this. DBIA is a harder certification to get, and I did just fine with it. The problem is this: the PMP and PMI talk in such high-level global terms with things that have very little to do with real boots on the ground management, with so much administration and so many different nuanced technical terms that you are going to have to switch into a different mindset and go into a different world to even understand this. And I am all about application, and none of it could be applied. And that might seem overly negative, but I'm just telling you, if you go get this certification, you're going to jump out of reality a bit. You're going to take an impossible test, which you can pass, and you are going to get your brain wired in an administrative direction that might be very unhealthy. I have on my LinkedIn profile, not PMP certified and proud. Now, for those of you who have it, kudos to you because you've been able to take this information, put it in the toolbox, and use whatever's valuable out of it and still move along in your career. But literally, most of the people that go through that and have that as their base certification are people that are trained to look nice, sit behind a desk, rely on email, and only be busy with administrative and not actually get real boots on the ground work done. I remember, I could tell you another story, but I don't want to take your time, of a software project manager that was a nightmare to deal with. She was the first PMP professional that I ever dealt with, and I literally wanted to shoot myself in the calf muscle. Everything was an email. Everything was technical. Everything was held behind a closed door. Everything was siloed. Everything was pulled into some weird system, and it was never, let's flow, let's get it done, human connection, proximity with effective results. I actually had to switch to just talking to the direct product owner of the software to get it developed, and I actually had to skip past this individual. So let's talk about what PMP is and what PMI is. Let's start right now. PMP stands for Project Management Professional, and if you go through this course, whether it's guided or you study the book, you will learn a lot about different project management techniques from around the world that are very high level, that are supposed to be applied to real boots on the ground applications. It is a certification from PMI, the Project Management Institute. And it basically says that if you've obtained the certification, that you have understood the body of knowledge of project management and can go be a project manager or work in project management roles. People typically get the PMP because they want credibility, they want the experience, they want the accreditation, they want the credentials, and it may help them in their career. What PMP does well is it does talk about different frameworks. Now, I personally don't think that they're very applicable. Some things are, like when it talks about how to scale large projects, sometimes when it's talking about Agile, it's okay, but the PMI and the PMP certification pull in a lot of really outdated methodologies like CPM and EVM and just really toxic things that will only hurt your project. But what it does do well is it does describe what's out there with good terminology. What it doesn't teach you is how to create flow in the field, how to create production systems, scheduling systems that actually work, how to track financials in a way that will not take your project, meaning you'll spend money on preparatory, pre-construction, value-add investment type things, right? It doesn't teach you how to do that. It doesn't teach you how to make work ready for trade partners if you're in construction. It does not teach you how to stabilize zones, stabilize work, and create a rhythm. And it doesn't teach you how to build people. Let me be straight with you. If you're like, but Jason, what do I do? My suggestion is learn everything you can about lean, L-E-A-N, lean thinking. The course that I took with Paul Akers when I went to Japan was more of a training than PMP certification or PMI could ever give you in a million years. Literally going to Japan, I always say in these videos, to Japan, South Korea, to other wonderful countries over there that implement these things, literally you will learn more about how to be a real project manager going there for a week than you could in 4 years learning this stuff. So it doesn't teach you how to actually implement boots on the ground. So if you're going to get it, use it as a way to get in, use it as credentials, use it as a way to open doors, use it as a baseline, but don't let it infect or affect your thinking. The only way your PMP is going to do you well is if you use it as an understanding of what the world thinks and then learn lean to know what to do instead and to really be able to grocery shop from every management system and to apply what makes sense at the time. Here's my warning though. If you only get your PMP and you only learn from the Project Management Institute, you are going to be a well-dressed, professionally speaking, non-transparent, shielded, meaning you have a mask on, project management professional, if that's what you want to call it, that focuses mostly on emails and gets in people's way with needless bureaucracy and administration and knows how to talk the talk, dress the dress, but not do the do and walk the walk. So if you want your PMP, get it. But if you want to really be a great project management professional, learn about lean. I hope you've enjoyed this video. On we go.